Welcome to the Jamodi podcast, where we interview coaches and leaders to find out not just what they do, but how they do what they do. Becoming the best version of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. How did individual skill work into your daily practice?
To me, that's really what it's all about. I think that in my mind, simple but sound and systems that fit your player's skills and abilities. And then, so in our practice, we spent 30 minutes every day on skill development, 30 minutes on offense, defense, 30 minutes on offense, team offense, 30 minutes on team defense, and then 30 minutes on situations and competitions. So with that skill being 25%, as the season went on, then we would, drop our practice from 2 hours down to 90 minutes, and then sometimes an hour at the end of the year. But it didn't matter if we had a half an hour on the floor because there was a girls' game that night or something. Then we were going to spend a half hour on skill development. If we had a 90-minute practice, it was 30-minute skill. 2-hour practice, 30-minute skill. I just think that that's really what it's all about. I'm not saying that. I guess I am saying that if I had to choose one or the other, I'd rather have players that were skilled, that understood the game a little bit, as opposed to having a specific play for every single thing. I read this and I believe it. The team that won effective field goal percentage and turnover percentage had a higher effective field goal percentage and a lower turnover percentage. They won both of those categories, men's and women's NCAA tournament this year. That team won the game every time.
Wow.
So me being able to shoot and being able to handle the basketball. Now, obviously, it goes the other way too, because you're going to limit the other team's effective field goal percentage, then you're playing some good defense. If you're going to cause the other team to turn the ball over if you can, then you're playing some pretty good defense. But I just think if you don't spend time working on kids being able to make baskets, game pace within the types of shots they get in the game, with some defensive pressure and with some time and score pressure, and also being able to pass, catch, dribble the basketball to be able to put it in those positions where you can get shots. You can't do those things, then I don't think you're just wasting your time running offense and defense.
Yeah, the importance of skill work that you put into it, I think is impressive, because it's the one thing that is easy to cut out as time goes on, and you've got all these things that you feel like are so important. But like you said, if we have the ability to make more buckets, handle the ball, and not turn it over as much, it'll help our shooting and the defensive side. I mean, which side takes longer to become great at, offensively or defensively? It's obviously the skill side, and so you got to put
Absolutely.
more focus and time into that. But golly, there's probably a lot of coaches that's the thing that, do your players actually all get better individually throughout the year, or is it really only the 1, 2, or 3 that are getting the ball the majority of the time that are improving?
Right, and that you play 5-on-5, like if you have an open gym, and I finally realized this in the summer. Everybody play well in Indiana at the time I was coaching. We couldn't coach them as a team in the summer. It could just be open gym. But I'd have the gym open for an hour and a half, and kids would get about 10 shots each. But if you do an individual skill work, you're doing like the 2-minute drill and some other drills, and you do that for 40 minutes, and they can get 100 or 150 or 200 meaningful shots. And to me, you don't do that in your practice, then you're wasting a lot of the time you put in the summer, the spring, and the fall, and you call them individual workouts. But if you don't continue that during the season, then to me, those skills are going to atrophy a little bit. And certainly, if they're not getting worse, they're not getting better. And I'm a big believer that if you're not getting better, you are getting worse. Because probably 20 miles away in the next gym, the team you're going to play next week, those players are probably getting better. So, in essence, if you're not improving on that, you are getting worse, because you got to keep up with the Joneses, and you got to find ways to get better than the Joneses or McCoys or whoever you're playing next week.
I think it's a good reminder, like for coaches, that why do individual skill work? Well, you better believe your rivals are. You know, the
Yep.
people you're going to be competing against, they are, and I think that's a good way to remember the importance of it.
Yep. And again, I would encourage coaches, if you're not doing skill development, even take your five starters and have a manager count how many times each of them gets to shoot in a 5-on-5 or even in drills that you're running, and then about how many more shots they could be getting if you're spending time on skill development.
Yeah, and
So,
players got to be careful of that during the spring and summer too, with their select teams and select practices. Of are they actually getting better? You know, or because they feel like, well, I'm getting seen, but are you actually getting better? Because the time that if you take that, how many shots they actually get over a weekend, it's probably only 20 to 25. And that's if you're a good player. How many times do you have the ball in your hand? Well, less than 2 minutes a game, so less than 10 minutes over a whole weekend. You know, so are you really getting better playing in those games? Or are you just, trying to get seen? And there's a difference between those two things.
well, absolutely. And I also think that um, if you are playing on those teams, you probably do have a chance of playing somewhere in college. But like you said, if you're only having the ball just a few minutes for a weekend, um, really not nobody's really noticing you from that. But if you go out and you make yourself better and you do skill development workouts, whether you have a paid trainer or whether you're just doing some things on your own and working out really really hard, I think that's going to help you get better. And I know that once in a while you have kids that fall through the cracks, but for the most part, if you can play,
They'll
college scouts will find you,
they'll find you. They're good at it. They're good at it.
and your coach is going to help you too. If you're a player listening to this, or if you're a coach, advise your players. You're going to do everything you can to get them exposure. You're going to call coaches. You're going to give them access to your huddle account so they can see. It has to be the old-fashioned way. You'll send a DVD in the mail. You'll find ways to get people to watch.
Hmm.
It's just a matter to me of, if you're not developing your skills, then you're wasting your own opportunity, because when someone does want to see you, you're not really gonna have anything to show. I mind.
What were the off-season expectations for your players?
Well, I think that the most important thing to me is that you're going to get better individually. And we always had a meeting with with our incoming players in the spring, and just told them, if you want to have if you want to have a good team, then you're going to have to put in the time this summer. And it's your team. I mean, I'm the coach, and certainly I want to win. But I want to tell you right now, if you don't come in and work, then you're not going to have a great team. And we'll do the best we can. We'll work hard during the season. But if you want to be good and you want to win the sectional, and you want to repeat what last year's team did and do it even better, then you have to put in the time for skill work. I don't. I really believe it's important that they have time to be kids,
Hmm.
and I think it's important that they have time for their other sports as well. So what I asked was that they would come in as often as they could for a 40-minute individual development workout. Like I said, where you could get in 150 to 200 meaningful shots. Um, I really don't think it does a lot of good. And we did shell drill every day in practice, but I don't think it does much good to do shell drill in the middle of June.
Right.
I don't think they're into it. I don't think we did shell drill. We're going to defend the stuff what we're going to face this weekend. Um, Run that in July, I don't think is worthwhile.
Hmm.
Um, again, the standards that we had were make sure you're taking care of yourself, you're being healthy, you're following the citizenship rules, you're following the code of conduct for the school, not breaking any training rules. Um, if you are taking summer school, make sure you do a good job with that. And then if you, for as far as basketball, all I asked was about 40 minutes, 5 days a week if possible. If not, 3 or 4 days, however often they can get in the gym. Because I just don't think you can can't demand everything, because they do have other things to
Yeah.
do. And then we went ahead and we called them controlled scrimmages in the evening, where we'd have like the kids that had played previously would come back, and it was neat to see them. And we put them on one team, and then our current high school guys are playing on the other team. And it was neat to see how the older guys kind of how much of your system they kind of played together with, and then how much being older they always made it tough for the younger guys. So that was kind of what I think is a good way to handle off season.
I really like what you said about the shell drill during June, and how they're not into it, and is that really going to make them better? What my teams at Faith, I've just made the decision over the years that once our season ends in hopefully late February, early March, then Faith basketball is done at that point, and everything that we do in the athletic period or everything during the summer is about the individual, about you getting better in your skill. And so it's all skill work. It is not Faith basketball as far as our schemes defensively or anything. And because I encourage them all to go play select ball. If they're the more guys that are doing that and competing against different people, learning different things, the better off we'll be next November. But I think especially when I was younger, I did struggle with, hey, okay, Faith season's over. Now we got to prepare for Faith season next year now, even though it's 8 months away. So I think it's important that we keep building them as individuals, making the game more fun for them.
I agree, and I think that's you have to keep that in mind. I think Mia Hamm said about soccer that that there was a 7-year-old girl that fell in love with the game, play for her, and that's really what it's about. I think Don Meyer said it's our job, it's their game, and that's what it is. I mean, it's for them, it's fun.
That's a great
You
reminder.
don't play.
Yeah.
Nobody ever goes out for the team to see how many games they can win on Coach Williams' resume. And I never had a player or a parent ever ask me for a resume. They want to know what you can do to help their child have a good experience, and the kid wants to go out and have fun. And like I said, that I know competing, people that understand competitiveness, they understand you're going to have to do shell drill in the season, and that's not the most fun thing to do. But they understand the competition part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom line is the whole ball of wax needs to come together to make it a fun experience for them, because that's why you play basketball in high school, to have fun.
Yeah.
And even if you have that rare opportunity to play in college, it's still you're doing it because you love the game, because it's fun. And if it ceases to be fun in high school, then to me the coach has a major problem, and they really need to re-examine how they're doing things. And every day, I'm not saying every day is perfect. I don't mean
Right.
that. I mean, we all have ups and downs. We make bad, as a coach, you make bad choices on what plays to call. You spend way too much time on one drill or something in practice. So I mean, there's ups and downs, there's ebbs and flows. But I think at the end of the season, if they can't look back and say, that was really something special and really something I enjoyed, then we're not really doing what we need to be doing as coaches.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.